Yes.
We're born ready.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Shots from the Bench. It's only sports talk, and of course, all opinions are both fabulous and flawed. I'm Bob Wiltman. My associate's Bob Murphy. Our other associate, Greg Melanzuk, is behind the scenes running the cameras, keeping the sanities, and trying to schmooze a few free drinks off the bartenders. So far, to no avail. We are here at beautiful Gator's Dockside in the beautiful Brownwood section of the Village's Gator's Dockside. They have the tastiest sports in town, and we're here every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. So come in the front door, the side door, the back door, however you want to come in, just come on in and join us. And if you can't join us, you can catch us on YouTube. Always look for Shots from the Bench on YouTube. We are going to be here, like I said, every Tuesday, so come on in and join us. And of course, we are the only sports talk show in the Villages. And partner, how things can change in a week.
I just want to say real quick.
Yes.
They have the best wings in town.
The best wings. I like that.
Gator, okay. Their wings are the best. I wouldn't go anywhere else for wings.
You know what? I'm still trying to get along with some of the waitresses, but that'll give me a couple weeks. That'll work out. Yeah. No, actually, they're great. The best waitresses and the best wings in the village. You better believe that. Right. One just walked by. I had to clear that up. But partner, let's get right to the task at hand. First things first, Major League Baseball. I have a come on to the Twins and Braves. I sure like them to participate in the season, and right now it looks to me like it was just a sad state of affair for the Braves, especially.
So many teams go through bad spells, of course, during a season. You know, you're going to have your bad spells. The Yankees have seemed to rebound a little bit in the last week or so.
Yankees have bounced back big. I like that.
Cubs have bounced
down to earth a little bit, but they're only 29 and 14 now. They're having
still the best team
real
in baseball,
problems. Yeah,
but they're maybe they're not the historic team. Maybe they still are, but you know what I'm saying they
need a few more sticks in the lineup before they're historic, but they're pretty darn good.
So bottom line, these teams are going through these spells, good and bad, and so it's hard to say. It's too early. But except for the ones you mentioned, the Twins and the Braves.
Twins and the Braves are the only ones that are kind of playing themselves down the river.
No matter what.
Don't understand, but and I'll tip my hat off again to my Phillies. They're not my Phillies, but I defy anybody to come in here and tell me three people in the Phillies lineup, and they have a great. Are these Phillies? Oh, right there, they're Phillies fans. You don't even know their starting team, do you? Name their shortstop. That's what I'm saying.
As long as they keep winning.
It's either Hernandez or Vasquez or something, but he's hitting 250, but they're winning games. I got to give them credit. You got to love it. Go Phillies. The team of the future. There's a prediction right there. He doesn't know what he's talking about. It's all right. But let's talk about the big boys, the teams that are doing well. Mm-hmm. I like this. We'll start with the Mets and we'll start with the Nationals because they're really going head to head.
They're a virtual tie right now, 1/2 game supplanting between the Mets half game back. I was really surprised with last night this is the second series that the Nationals and Mets have played each other this year. Nationals won 2 out of 3 in the first go round, but last night. Bartolo Colon, 40 years old, goes out, 43 years old, goes out and pitches 7 innings, one run ball. Unbelievable control.
Did everybody hear that? Bartolo Colon,
that's right.
7 innings, 1 run. He has more families in the United States than he gave up runs last year. Bartolo's got, we don't know how many families he's had, but he's working on his 3rd, I think. Yeah. But that was just an aside for all you Bartolo Colon fans. Right. But I'm impressed. He impresses the heck out of me. Yeah. How he even can make it to the mound is beyond me, and then he pitches great baseball.
Well, Crafty is his middle name, apparently, because he throws an 82 or 85 mile an hour fastball. It's not by fastballs that he's getting people out. He's just moving that ball around in different places.
He's actually
a true pitcher.
Remember when he started out, he was a blazer.
Right.
He'd come throw it all. He'd try to throw it by, and now he's sliding it through different deliveries. I mean, good for him.
He's 4-3 and a 3.6 ERA or something
Which
like
is
that.
probably in
But
the
that's
top
all the Mets
10% of
need
the
him to be.
pitchers. Yeah,
The
heck
Mets
yeah.
just need him to be a 500 pitcher.
That's
And you let
fantastic.
these other guys like DeGrom, Syndergaard, and
Let the
Matz.
even and Harvey.
Harvey will hopefully get his act together. He's pitching tonight, by the way.
Harvey's going to be fine. You know he's going to be fine.
Little mental and possible physical problems, but tonight we'll see. That's an interesting matchup tonight in Washington. Harvey going out because he's been having a lot of trouble getting past the 5th inning. He seems to really lose control, and they start to hit him real well right after the 5th inning. I don't know what it is, but maybe it's with that surgically repaired arm with Tommy John, that maybe it's just not holding up.
That may be the case, but you'd like to think he'd come out and say something.
Yeah.
I think it's just like pitchers have slumps like everybody else, and I think he's just having trouble hitting his spots. But
Sure.
if he's up for trade, I wish the Pirates would get him because I think he's a heck of a pitcher.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Well, anyway, so that's a big series tonight, and boy, Cespedes for the Mets leads the major leagues in home runs with 15.
I guess he's living up to his salary and his contract. I'd say he's doing a
Seems
great
to be
job.
that's the way the Mets have been scoring. They got Walker has 11 home runs, and Duda's out now for an extended period of time, their first baseman. But that seems to be the way they're scoring. They used to build runs when they had Murphy. Grattison's been kind of on a slump to start the season, but and Wright. But the way they've been scoring is just with the home run.
Walker hit another home run, by the way.
Walker,
Yes, he did.
okay.
11.
Well, you're gonna have to wait another couple months. He's had his quota for the first half of the season, but no, I'm sure I really am a big fan, and I hope he hits 40. But I wouldn't count
But
on
Cespedes
it.
is on a pace. He could hit 50, 60 home runs this year, the way he's going. And I don't, he's the type of player. I don't think he's not just hot. He's not just hot and cold. He's pretty consistent throughout a season. And but Walker, like you said, he has 11 home runs, the second baseman. That's great. He may well hit 30 this year. You never know.
Well, how about
but Cespedes is more realistic.
well, you got like I said, you got the Mets and the Nationals. With the Phillies trying to pull up the rear, but they're doing
Yeah.
fine. But let's go to the West Coast because you got to like what the Giants are doing. They look like they're finally getting their act together. We knew they
Well,
were going to be pretty good.
When you look at they're the hottest team in the National League
No
right
question.
over the last
No
10,
question.
12 games. And it's they were kind of spinning their wheels 500-ish when a week or so ago.
They
But
kicked,
you know
they
what?
kicked it into gear.
They've
Yeah.
got 3 pitchers. Curto 7-1 with a 2.7 ERA.
Another
They've
good
got,
signing, free
Madison
agent signing.
Bumgarner 6-2.
Baumgartner.
And then Sam, but I don't even know how to say his name. Sam.
Jeff Samardzija.
Jeff
Yes,
Samardzija.
yeah. And you got
He
first
is
of all,
6-2
if you
as
can
well.
spell it, you should get a lot of money because
But I'll
there's
tell
a
ya.
lot of consonants in that
Name
name.
me top three starters on any team in the majors that are doing as well as those 3 right now.
Well, like I said, you got the Mets, you got the Nationals, you got the Giants,
Yeah.
and I think the Cubs with Arrieta and Lackey and Lester are up there, but that's it. There's nobody else even coming close to those
Sure.
teams.
Those are probably the top 3 staffs in the National League right now: the Giants, the Cubs, and the Mets.
Well,
But you know what? On the Nationals, real quick, I know we were segueing into another division. Bryce Harper's having kind of a down year. He's hitting like 256 or 7.
well, they're
or
not
something
throwing
like
him. They're not giving him
that.
much to hit.
They're walking him a lot.
He can either get disgusted
Yeah.
and start chasing pitches, which I think he has been doing,
Right.
or he's got to realize if they don't have any big hitters around him. Murphy's been hot, but everybody
Right.
else in that team is, in my opinion, pretty mediocre hitters. So
Right.
we'll see where it takes him. But
Right.
I feel bad for him because he's going to get pitched around. Bryce, be ready. You're going to
that's
get
sure.
a lot of balls in the dirt.
Well, it's interesting because the season evolves and you see teams start to pick up the pace and climb back
Absolutely.
in the standings.
Absolutely.
And so it's not don't be so even who knows, maybe even the Twins and the Braves can play a little bit more respectable baseball as the time goes on.
Boy, I sure hope they do because they're looking for 110 lost seasons at the
Right.
way they're going. So
Right.
let's
Sure.
two
Hey,
great cities. I don't want to see it. Yeah.
Yeah. So over in the American League now.
Yeah.
Of course, the Orioles in the American League East are still, from the very beginning, they've been leading that division. Don't seem to be changing anytime soon. They're in a dead heat though with the Red Sox, which we thought was going to happen.
Yeah. The Sox
and,
are loaded.
They're
They're
neck and neck.
good young players
Yep.
on both teams. Both teams.
And the Yankees, who were in last place, have really they've won 7 out of 10 and started to play.
You got to love the Yankees.
You know?
And all I kept hearing about was how much trouble Girardi's in. Now he's up for manager of the year. They're going to be fine. He's a
Right.
good manager. They're going to get some pitchers, but I like the Yanks.
The team we thought going in, based on their performance last year and getting in the playoffs and so forth, the Blue Jays have just, they're just not.
They're leaking oil. They're just not. They're hitting some power, but no average.
They're not the Twins and the Braves, but
No.
the
Blue Jays there.
Blue Jays are in last place. Well, they're tied for last
Tied
place.
for last.
Let's put it that way.
Give them their due.
We won't let them be in first. We'll give them a percentage point again. But so that's an interesting situation there. They're just not hitting like they were.
Well, that's my point. They've
Yeah.
still got some power, but their averages are all down
Yeah.
50 points per guy. and that
Sometimes you
makes-
come out of the box like in April and May, and in the colder weather, and when June, July, and August hits, all these guys heat up with the weather.
Well,
things
we'll
start
see, we'll see
changing.
what gives. But right now, I didn't pick Toronto.
He did.
Did I? Toronto.
No, we both did
I
actually.
know. I might have last year. I can't remember.
We're
That's
tied.
okay.
They're tied for last. He figured we picked them. Well, he's right. We did. So anyway,
But,
over in the Central, it's funny how the Cubs had a little hiccup. Now the White Sox have had a hiccup, and they
Yeah.
were also a couple of weeks ago, or a week or so ago, the 2 top teams in baseball. Now they're 3-7.
I'll tell you what. That Sale, that pitcher, he ain't had any hiccups. So that guy.
he hasn't had any
That's
hiccups.
like the new Randy John. He's not.
He's
as-
either 8 or 9-0.
He's unbelievable. I mean, he looks like he's handing the ball to you when he pitches to you.
Right.
His arms are so line.
Sure.
That's amazing.
But they're 27-19, and they have a 2.5 game lead over the Indians. So.
Good
the
for
rest
good for the Indians too. You know what?
Yep.
I'm really rooting for them. I with their lineup, I'm not sure they can pull it off, but I sure like them to get back. I want the Indians to win. I really do. But
All Cleveland team. You want Cleveland teams to win.
any
all
Cleveland, I
through
just
the-
want them to turn it around.
Yeah.
Soft
It's over
spot.
in the Western Division. Of course, before we get over there, the Royals, of course, the world champion Royals.
Royals will be fine. You know they're going to be fine.
Yeah, they
But-
lost some players, to free agency and trades or whatever. But they're only 1 game over 500. But again, they can get hot. They've got some quality players on that team. Losing Curto didn't help. But I think he was just like a half a season.
He was
player.
a season
A
to get him
rent-a
through the
player for last
playoffs.
year.
But I'll tell you what, time flies when
Yeah.
you're having a good time. We're already through the first quarter, shots from the bench. So Bob Murphy and I'll be back with the second quarter right after this. We are back with the second quarter of shots from the bench here at Gator's Dockside in the beautiful Brownwood section of the Villages. Gator's Dockside, they have the tastiest sports in town. And first quarter, we were just chewing the fat on all the good teams in baseball and how they're doing, but we still haven't made it all the way around the league. So let's.
A little bit.
What do we got?
We're into the American League right now. Of course, we talked a little bit about the American League East, the Central with their White Sox.
Yeah.
And the Royals kind of treading water a little bit right now. But over in the West, it's the Mariners.
How about Seattle? Yep. With Cano and Felix.
Cano and company.
Felix, King Felix, the pitcher. They got a pretty good
We said
lineup.
before the Yankees still would love to have him back.
Oh,
Cano.
wouldn't they love to have him? Yeah.
He's been He's been a consistently good player.
He's productive. He's
over
one of those
every
players.
year.
He produces.
Yep.
No matter where he plays,
Yep.
he produces, and that's what you want.
And the Rangers, of course, they're one of the top 2 hitting teams in Major League Baseball.
They have what a lineup they have. You're
Yes, they
right.
do.
They really have an impressive.
So some teams win by just hitting, some win by pitching, and some have a nice balance. But they're a hitting team.
You know what?
They're like last year's Blue Jays.
And you know what? You're talking about that. One of the teams that we probably talked about a little bit earlier. I can't remember, but what happened to Houston?
Yeah, I know.
What happened to them?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they were the darling of the league, and now they're
10 games back.
10 games back.
10 games back.
And there's
we
no-
picked them. We picked
I
them.
know.
Maybe we shouldn't pick
What
anybody.
happened?
That's
Yeah,
that's the problem.
obviously that doesn't work.
We shouldn't pick anybody because
No.
when we pick them, they wind up in last place.
That's exactly right.
It just seems that way anyway.
I picked Golden State. I picked the Penguins.
Well, Keuchel
Could be
hasn't-
tough.
Keuchel, hasn't been the sun.
Keuchel, yeah, is like I said, he's in a slump, obviously, but I think that even if he gets hot, I'm not sure
That's enough.
the rest of the team is going to be able to turn it around in
Well,
that division.
You know, the Mariners are an up-and-coming team. The Rangers, you know, and even, you know, even the Angels, to a certain respect, are playing halfway decent. So who are you gonna? You got to supplant somebody in that division. You know, maybe the Mariners won't continue this pace, but it looks like they are though. Yeah, they're gonna be good for quite a while.
Well, like I said, the teams like it's football. I used to some of the teams I thought were really going to be good, like the Angels. Nah, you know they've just everybody's. It's one of those years, right? I mean, what are you going to do? But,
Well, you know, so that's where we are with baseball. Hey, there's something I want to talk about.
Yes, sir.
Changing gears completely here.
Go ahead.
I heard today that, you know how you have a lot of talk about concussions and
Sure.
and all the movies and
Sure,
with
sure.
you know all this stuff. This one really is something. And sometimes you're in the wrong. Sometimes you're just not in the right career. When if you have a certain job, you're not meant to be in that career. I think this is one guy that I'm about to mention.
I think I know where you're going
is
with
not
this. Yeah.
necessarily meant to be in this job. The Buffalo Bills general manager, David Watley. I don't know David Watley, but he said, no, he's the GM
This
of
is
a
the GM of a
football
professional
team.
football team.
The Buffalo Bills, right? He says that he personally believes that no humans are meant to play football. No humans are meant. Now, how do you wind up as the?
And our season tickets go on sale tomorrow.
How does that affect your picking of players? You put the players in there you don't like, personally, or how does that work?
I'm sure.
like, oh, there's
I'm
a
sure,
guy.
I'm
I
sure
don't
the
like
owner
that guy.
cringed greatly when he heard that comment.
I don't like that wide receiver from UCLA. I'm going to put him on our team so he can get hurt or he can get hit
That's
because it's not
ridiculous.
meant for humans to play football. So I want him on my team.
All you need to know about him is he chose Rex Ryan to be his coach.
Rex Ryan. He chose Rex Ryan.
That's all you need to know.
An inhuman coach. That's right.
That's all you need to know that he picked Rex Ryan. as
Maybe
his
that's
coach.
what he went.
But seriously, have you ever heard of that before?
I have not heard any general
you hear
manager.
someone outside
a
of
general
football
manager
say
something that patently absurd.
Yeah.
But like I
So
said,
that's-
I'm sure he'll be called into somebody's office for a little
that.
discussion.
There's been a lot, but really, I mean, you're picking players to come on your team, and you're watching players, and you don't personally believe they should even be out there because you think they're going to get hurt. That's an interesting situation brewing up there in Buffalo. Anyway, I just had to get that off my chest.
I'll tell you what, let me throw this out before
Okay.
we segue into the NBA.
Yeah.
It is trivia time. I got anybody who's
All
trivia
right.
fans. We got some really tough trivia questions, and I will buy a beer to the person that come up with this, and you better not be using your iPads or iPhones or whatever you want to do. And we're going to talk about one of the simplest but great achievements in baseball, and that's 4 home runs in one game. And let's talk about 4 home runs in one game. I want to know, here's the tough part. The two of the last 3 guys to do it were Sean Green and let me see if I can come up with the other guy. Not only Sean Green, but Josh Hamilton. Josh Hamilton and Sean Green hit 4 homers in a game. The same guy in both games where they did it, the same player batted third in front of them in the lineup. I want to know who was the guy that batted third in front of both Sean Green when he hit 4 home runs and in front of Josh Hamilton when he hit 4 home runs. I think that's
if they get this, that's pretty
a
good.
challenge. Somebody gets that, I'll buy him a mixed drink. I just don't think anybody's going to
that's
get.
good.
I better not see any of those fingers flying through the iPad. So, but
right.
I'll bring that up in the next quarter. But that to me is a pretty hard and a pretty intriguing trivia question. So,
Okay.
going from that, while you're chewing on that, let's talk about the National Basketball Association.
Oh yeah.
And I've already put the kiss of death and the curse on both Cleveland and Golden State by, I cursed Cleveland by saying they're going to kill Toronto. That isn't happening.
That's right.
And I put the curse on Golden State by, I think, pick them in 5. I think that's not going to happen now.
Well, I'll tell you, tonight's a big. That's right.
Oh,
The
jeez.
Warriors are down 2-1 to the Thunder, and the last game, the Thunder hammered them
Yeah.
133 to 105.
That was
And,
a beatdown, I think they call them.
Sunday night, and the Warriors are in trouble. They're in
Yeah.
big trouble.
Yeah.
The momentum is clearly in the Thunder's camp right now, and tonight at 9 o'clock at OKC, they take a 2-1 lead against. If they win that game tonight, they're probably going to win this series. I believe, because you know what. We'll get to Draymond Green in a minute here with a little bit of
Controversy.
situation there.
Yeah.
But anyway, that is an interesting game. Can the Warriors in OKC rebound and tie this series? They have to.
Well,
otherwise, they're in big trouble.
Well, they're a heck of a team, and this is one of those chances to prove it to everybody.
Right.
I firmly believe that they'll win the game tonight.
Well, I'll tell you,
Just because I think they have that much carries. When's the last time they lost 2 in a row?
if OKC can win the game, if they can keep Steve Adams in the game without getting hit in the groin,
Kicked in the groin.
they'll.
Yeah.
I think they have the best shot of winning that game. Speaking of groins,
Draymond Green.
Draymond Green. Okay, we had 2 situations in the playoffs. Okay, we got the Cavs and the Raptor series, and
Right.
and the Thunder and the Warrior series.
Right.
Both series had situations happen where guys were punched in the groin. Over on the Cavs side, it was Dante Jones, the famous bench player who hardly ever plays, who punched out, very carefully, strategically, Bismarck Biyombo, their big center, took him out.
Bismarck
Now
Biyombo.
he gets a 1-game suspension for that. Not only did he get a technical, but he got a 1-game suspension. Now his shot, you know where,
Was obvious.
was not obvious.
Oh, I thought it
was
was.
more. It was more protected and hidden, hard to see. Now,
right.
having said that, and then he got his 1-game suspension. Over to the Warriors and Thunder series. Draymond Green, he kicked.
No way.
He kicked Steve
He
Adams.
should not
out
get
in the
us-
open. Well, he kicked him out in the open.
Yeah.
And I mean, clearly took him out. Now, if the other one that happened with Dante Jones, why did he get a 1-game suspension? And then the other one gets a fine.
That
slap on the
I
wrist.
think it's. I think
Thought it was-
somebody's talking about the magnitude of the play or something, but that
Where's
is one of
the-
the. I was so puzzled when I
Right.
saw that was not going to get a suspension. I just couldn't believe it.
Absolutely.
I couldn't believe it.
I mean, there were old school players talking about this whole thing about back in the 70s and 80s and sometimes in the 90s. They were all saying how man, we would have gotten a 4-game suspension for that. I mean, when I watched that replay over and over again, probably about 6-7 times, and it looks clear that he definitely.
Hopefully,
kicked him.
somebody's going to get to the bottom of it. Even if you watch the game tonight, I want it addressed because it truthfully makes absolutely no sense to me. I think nobody's got a brain when I hear stuff like that or that stuff from the Buffalo Bills
Right.
GM. I just can't understand
You
it.
just want to have some kind of balance here. I mean, the other guy who did hardly look like he did anything gets a 1-game suspension, and the other one that has a lot more aggressive shot at him with his foot.
There is
gets
no
fine.
explanation. I want to hear
Anyway,
somebody
so
try.
It's done with. It's not gonna.
Yeah.
It's not gonna affect it. But the Thunder didn't care. They don't care if Draymond Green's playing or not. They just want to win the game no matter
Sure.
who's out there.
Well,
no
like
matter
I
who's
said,
out there.
I just thought there has to be some kind of a
Right.
fair. It was just totally made no sense to me at all. But that's.
I mean, like when it happened, you're like, something's got to happen to that,
something.
right?
Yeah, you'd say, well, that's at least a game. And
Anyway,
wasn't.
just
But
had to get that off my chest.
but as we go down, well, okay, I'll tell you
Yeah.
now knowing what we know, who do you like?
Man, I'll tell you.
You got 4 teams left. I want to know who's going to be the champ.
I'll tell you, it's tough to pick. I
You
mean,
got-
we picked the
I'm
Warriors.
not asking if it was easy to pick. I
Oh,
want to know who you're
man.
picking, because I'm not on the Toronto bandwagon.
You know what? I picked before the series, against our producer, Greg. I picked the Warriors to go all the way.
Yeah.
I have my doubts now. I really do.
Well, that's
I think
fair.
the Thunder could
That's
win
fair.
now. I'm
Well,
going to go with the Thunder.
All right, I'm staying with the
From this
Warriors,
point.
and I think personally,
they'll win tonight. I think the Golden State the Thunder will win tonight, and I think they'll take a 3-1 lead.
you're really jumping out here because I've never seen
Yep.
Greg make an accurate prediction. I've known him quite a while now. Never saw him be correct.
Never say never.
Villanova, Broncos.
Villanova and the Broncos were They were lucky, I'm telling you.
That's right.
I'll tell you what, that being said, it is halftime. So we're going to run in and listen about how Greg did a great job picking Villanova and the Broncos. Give me a break. And we will be back at Gators Dockside with the third quarter of Shots from the Bench right after this.
We play golf with David Faraday. You want me to do it, do you?
If you want to try it, you try
I
it.
don't want to try it. I can't do it.
We are back with the third quarter of Shots from the Bench. We come running out of the locker room. Greg gave us some things to follow, and like we always do, we'll look at each other and do whatever the heck we want. But we are here at Gators Dockside in the beautiful Brownwood section of the Villages. Gators Dockside, the tastiest sports in town. And
Well, we took our showers and had some Gatorade, and we feel good now.
But we still have a little bit more to talk
We got
about
some
the
more work to do.
NBA. So what do you got for me?
Well, we had some coaching signings this past week.
And they were huge, and one's a big, huge local one.
Yep.
How about
yep.
that guy? That guy's great.
Frank Vogel was
Yes.
signed by the Magic. Actually, he was rebuffed by the Knicks. The Knicks could have had him, I think. And
I
they
think
didn't.
I think he's a brilliant coach. I
Oh, yeah.
really do. I think it was a
Absolutely.
great hire. Great hire.
Had great success in Indiana Pacers.
Sure did.
And with this Magic team, with their young players, even with Vogel, they need to get what the Magic need is not more young players. They need to start instilling some veterans into this team.
Get some leadership.
Maybe trade away this number 11 pick they have coming up.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, and
Absolutely.
get themselves some. I mean, they have enough good young players. Let's get some veterans in there that can work with some of these young players and have and also a better defensive team. They always say, well, this guy's good and this guy's good, but when you really look at them, they're not defensive players.
You know what?
And they don't stop anybody.
Defense wins a lot of games when you don't have the talent
Right.
offensively. It really
I mean,
does.
you can if you get a guy that scores 20 points a game, has great assists, or a guy that rebounds and scores, but they can't stop anybody. So
it's a wash.
What are you going to be, a
Yeah,
500 team?
That's exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's exactly
At
right.
best. I
Yeah.
mean, you got to have defensive players, defensive stoppers. Look at all these teams that are in the finals now. All of them have defensive stoppers either at the rim or on the perimeter. Okay? And, when you look at a team like the Magic, we're talking about their new coach and everything, they need to get some defensive stoppers on
Yeah,
their team.
I
Just
agree.
don't draft players who can score and can shoot threes. Get some players that can play some team defense and one-on-one defense. And maybe not so much the score. I mean, to blend them in with the teams that you got.
You make a good point because I look back at some of the players in the last 5 or 10 years that came out of college and they were offensive juggernauts. Jimmer, Fredette, guys like that, but they
Right.
had no defensive skills at all, and they lasted 2 or 3 years in the league.
That's right.
I mean, if you can't play defense, I don't care. Anybody can. All those guys can shoot.
Of course, defense. Ever since they stopped the hand checking in the NBA, defense has gone down as
Sure.
teams.
Well,
I mean, teams are.
they want to see more
I
scoring.
mean, guys
Yeah.
drive to the basket,
Yeah.
isolate, drive down the lane.
No, you're right.
And no one's knocking them to the floor like they did back in the 90s or anything. And they're not hand checking. That's how we played when we played. Even
Heck
if we played
yeah.
basketball, we could
Heck
hand
yeah.
check. And that was part of it, It was almost like taking the bump and run out of football, Very similar
Which
type
they
of
did.
thing.
That's exactly
You know what
right.
I mean?
Yeah.
So Vogel's with the Magic. That's a good hire, though.
Great hire. I think it's a great
He's
hire.
good with young players.
Oh, yeah.
He's good with veteran players.
I think
he has a history of he's more of a defensive coach is what they need. That's exactly what they need.
what they need. I
He's
agree.
not an offensive coach. They have enough offense, but they need guys to start learning how to play. Now, that's another thing. Well, we're going to teach these guys how to play. You know what? They've been trying to teach them defense for the last several years. You're only going to get so far with teaching defense. Either you're a good defensive player or you're not. Okay, so now they
I
need
agree.
to bring in some defensive players, trade some guys, maybe let the number 11 pick go for a veteran. There are some teams that want that 11 pick. That's what I think they should do. So
Well,
getting over to the other
See what
coach.
Frank says. Yeah,
Oh, sure. The Knicks picked up Jeff Hornacek, another good pick.
another good
for
defensive
the
coach
Knicks.
too.
And the question that's being asked all around everywhere now, because they signed Hornacek, does that mean that the triangle offense is no longer going to be in vogue for the Knicks? And it looks as though that Phil Jackson is going to relax that to a degree. He's going to let Hornacek coach. They're going to be, in today's NBA, it's not a half court game. It's not a half-court game. It's a run and shoot the three type of game. Everybody's got to shoot. Everybody's got to be able to pass. And you got to be able to run and be a fast-paced team.
I agree.
And so that's what Hornacek brings to the Knicks.
That's why he's a good choice too. I mean, he's a good.
I think he's a good choice for them.
Good coaches, good choices. I think.
Right. So those are the two coaching carousels that have been picked up in the last week here in the NBA. So tonight is the big game, like we mentioned, the Warriors and the Thunder.
I agree with you. If the Thunder wins this, I think they go on to win the series.
Yeah.
But I really firmly believe that Golden State's going to find a way to get it done. I might be wrong.
How about the game that, of course, we were talking about the Raptors tying the series. The Cavs were up 2-0 in that series, and
I had written off the Raptors. I
Right.
didn't think the Raptors are going to get within 20 points of the Cavaliers in any of the games.
Now
they come back and win
sure.
two.
One thing
Two in
that's
a row.
really helped Toronto. Look at the game that Lowry had 35 points and DeRozan had 32.
They were spectacular.
4 or 5 threes by Lowry. But Valanciunas coming back, their center, has really helped down low in these last couple of games.
You can tell.
And now you can see the difference.
It's a different team.
All of a sudden, the whole team defensively
Different team.
starts playing better.
You're
That's
right.
what I think. And they have the momentum against Cleveland. So I'm sure LeBron James is a little bit sweating bullets right now, but knowing that this is going to be a tough. I mean, Kevin Love's been.
He was a
Not
dog
around.
last game. Yeah, he didn't get anything done. He
know?
was shooting bricks.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no
I
question.
mean, Kyrie Irving, and LeBron have played well, but no one else has really stepped up. So anyway, we'll see. It's very interesting what's going on with that. So.
Well, I'll tell you what.
else
Before we get segueing, we got some golf and hockey to talk about. But I'm going to go back to my trivia question, and I'm going to throw another one out because
Okay.
I'm going to buy somebody a drink, or I'm going to drink it myself. But let's go back to the trivia question. 2 players that hit 4 home runs in a game. One was Sean Green. One was Josh Hamilton. They both had the same guy playing before them in the batting order, batting third. The same guy that batted third in front of Josh Hamilton, batted third in front of Sean Green. I want to know who he was. And also, I know I've got with Bob and our producer, Greg, here's a Mets question that I think is really good. And you actually talked about Art Shamsky. Not only is Art Shamsky in the National Jewish Sports Hall of Fame, which he is deservedly so, but Art Shamsky hit 3 home runs in a game and then hit one in the next game. I want to know what was unique about the 3 home runs that Art Shamsky hit in a game, in the first game. You know, Greg, you're chomping at the bit. Great try. That is the stupidest. He said they were all inside the park home runs.
Stupid.
You're right. I overreacted. That was
totally inappropriate.
That was insipid and inane, is what that was. But that's okay. But think about it. What was so interesting about the 3 home runs that Art Shamsky hit that nobody else in baseball that hit 3 home runs in a game has done?
The announcer said he was a future Hall of Famer.
Greg, going back onto another real sore spot with me, and that is the consistent ability of his sportscasters to call people future Hall of Famers. I don't mind if they're going to be future Hall of Famers, but I don't think a 23-year-old guy who's hit 200 homers is a future Hall of Famer just yet, my personal opinion. But let's talk about the National Hockey League. What?
One more guess.
I'm ready.
They would all have been overturned if there was instant replay.
Well, make a mockery of my question, if you
That's
will,
what it
Greg.
was.
But it's still a great question because the only guy in the history of baseball that hit 3 home runs in a game and this was the stipulation. Anybody know? I'm going to take it off the table for Art Shamsky. Art Shamsky was the only guy to hit 3 home runs in a game, and he didn't start. He was a substitute. He came in the 8th inning, hit a home run. In the 10th inning, he hit a home run to tie a game up, and he hit a home run in the 12th inning to tie the game up. And then he sat out a game, and he led off the next game he played with a home run. So fairly interesting. You got to like that. I still want to know who batted in front of Josh Hamilton and who batted in front of Sean Green. Yeah. Huh? I'm not telling you. I'm buying the drink. I'm not giving hints. You darn right you're not going to.
Oh, he's got trivia.
You got questions for us, but
like
I want.
What was so unique about Paul Harding winning the high school trophy at Notre Dame?
Probably the first guy to be drunk.
The record was 2-8.
Oh, Notre Dame when they were 2-8.
He won the high school trophy, and the record was 2-8.
And what year was that?
1959.
Was it that late? I guess it was. Yeah. Okay. I would have guessed 58. Well, 2 minutes. Okay, so I've lost. I'll tell you what. Let's go quickly to the National Hockey League, because what's great is you've got 2 teams playing in the next 2 nights. You've got Tampa playing tonight. They're up 3-2 on Pittsburgh. And you've got San Jose up tomorrow night, 3-2 over St. Louis. And what you'd like to see, you'd like to think the home team, and they're both teams that are ahead are at home tonight. But I'll tell you what, hockey, what's great about hockey to me, Bob, is it doesn't matter what rink you're on. It's whoever has the guts and plays the best and chomps at the bit. Hey, you got to give Tampa credit. They made it last year, and nobody thought they were. Nobody really thought they're going to make the finals this year, and there's a chance that they will.
Well, they've got a history of playing well in the playoffs, obviously.
Yes, they do.
With their
Yes, they
Stanley
do.
Cup wins. But you know what? Going into that game Sunday night with the Penguins,
Yeah.
the Penguins had won all 46 games in which they had held
Yeah.
a lead going
Yep.
into the third quarter. 46-0.
And what a lousy time to blow your record.
They blew the record. Things changed.
Things do change,
And,
but you know what? Eventually records fall.
So they lost in overtime.
You hate to see them fall in the 5th game of a
Yep.
semifinal
But
series.
tonight, the Tampa Bay can clinch and get to the finals, and
Right.
tomorrow night, San Jose can
Right.
clinch over St. Louis.
But you know what? It's 50-50 on both of them. You'd like to. There's no momentum. That's the thing most I like about hockey. There's no momentum. You guys just go strap on their gear and
Yep.
go skate as hard as they can and execute. And so we'll see
Well,
what happens.
I picked Tampa Bay to go all the way. You know
like that.
You know that.
You can't
got
beat
that
that.
on record. Go back in the archives.
All right.
But I think they're going to do it.
I'm pretty
Tonight
sure
they're
the
going to
team-
win, and they're going to.
Pretty sure the
win.
team I picked is out. Is not in
Yeah.
it anymore. So I'm pretty sure I picked
I'm lucky
Anaheim
on
or
this
the
one.
Kings, and so
But,
they are gone and they
yep.
are out. But
Yeah, so that's an interesting game tonight.
but that's like I said, that's given hockey its due. So
I mentioned earlier in past shows how it's become a warm weather sport in the National Hockey League.
I'll tell you what.
Tampa Bay and San Jose.
You know what? The finals. It's going to be July 4th, and I think they're going to be playing the National Hockey League finals. And then so see if they can find a rink down south that.
Well, I mean, like the Canadians are no, it's always been this National Hockey League was always a Canadian pretty
thing,
much.
and not anymore.
Thing, and it's in their psyche. We mentioned this before.
I have a question. I was going to say I have a question for our producer, Greg. While you're talking to women, you got a pretty women off. How's our time coming into the third quarter? Okay, he's obviously dazed, but I'm going to stick my neck out and think that we're way past our time allotment for the third quarter. We will be back, partner, and we will
All right.
discuss golf
Yes,
and
we
the
will.
situation at Muirfield and a lot of other stuff in the
All right.
fourth quarter of Shots from the Bench right after this.
All right.
Come on, Greg, keep your head in the game. Head in the game.
That's what we need.
Okay, we are back with the fourth quarter of Shots from the Bench here from Gator's Dockside in the beautiful Brownwood section of the Village's Gator's Dockside, the tastiest sports in town. And, partner, we've run the gamut of all the sports, but we still have a big one that we've got all sorts of things going on. Let's talk a little bit about golf and the PGA. First of all, kudos to Sergio.
Sergio, it's good to see Sergio back on the board with a win.
And
I
he
think
loves playing there. I mean, he has just had some wonderful finishes in that tournament. I was so happy for him
Yep.
because he looks like he's lightened up a little bit. And you remember he used to
Yeah.
get a little
Oh, yeah.
upset.
Right.
He's actually matured as he's gotten older.
He's-
Some of us do, some of us don't. But
Well, we've said in many months ago that Sergio was probably the best golfer never to have won a major. That's
And I
currently
still-
playing. That's currently playing.
Yeah.
And to see him win at the Byron Nelson in that playoff over Brooks Koepka, by the way,
Yeah.
who was also playing very well. He's only 26. Nice player. He's also, he's Brooks Koepka, by the way. We're going to get into the Ryder Cup standings, but he's moved
Is
into
he way
the
up there?
He's
Yeah.
in the number 8 spot right now with that runner-up position in the playoff.
well, you
there.
know what? And to his credit or discredit, I mean, you got
Yeah.
obviously his credit. He left the PGA Tour and he joined the European Tour, and he won about 4 tournaments over there.
Yeah.
And then he came back and got his card, and now he's won. I think he's won once or twice, and
Sure.
he's a top. It doesn't surprise me if he's qualifying for the Ryder Cup. He's that talented.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
really is.
absolutely. Yeah, so Sergio winning this week, just played really good. Consistent golf and won in the playoffs. So that's great. It was great to see that. What kind of surprised me a little bit though?
What's that?
It was only his 9th career win. I thought he would have had more than that.
Sergio, well, I think that's the whole point. He's had. I bet he's had about 20 leads after 3 rounds.
He must have lost in a lot of finals or
Yeah, that
or,
one, he
or,
obviously did. He's very good at
final
coming
rounds.
in second or third. But
He's
you're
always in the hunt.
absolutely,
Always in the hunt.
absolutely. But
Hello there.
but you know what? I really I like him as I think he's
Right,
a nice
right.
guy. And I
Sure.
think he's a competitor, and I was just delighted to see him because I know how much that meant to him. He's a
Sure.
very proud golfer, and I'm really glad he was able to pull that
Yep,
off.
Yep. Well, we got the current Ryder Cup standings. Of course, no surprise here. Jordan Spieth is in the number 1 spot. Dustin Johnson is in the number 2 spot. And then you got Bubba Watson, Brett Snedeker, who missed the cut in the Byron, by the way.
Yeah, and it's always interesting. But once you qualify, which I guess
Yeah.
is good. But
I mean, like-
some guys are. If you start losing your game, if you play great and you get within 2 months of the Ryder Cup and you start to stink, I guess you're playing.
Sure. Well, so they got Ricky Fowler at number 5, Phil Mickelson, who just
Yeah.
overcame a,
Yeah, I wanna-
insider trading
I was just going to say,
allegation.
I have a feeling Phil
But,
is happily going to give back like $1 million. So
Right.
I think he realized that maybe that would be the big
Well,
thing to do.
Yeah, so that's an interesting subject all by itself. Then you got Zach Johnson and then Koepka at the number 8 spot. And the guy he supplanted that was in the 8th spot recently was Patrick Reed was in the 8th spot. And then after in the 9th spot is Reed's in the 9th, Matt Kuchar 10th,
Cooch.
J.B. Holmes is 11th,
Yeah.
and Charlie Hoffman 12th. So now you know how this is picked. The top 8 are point winners.
But they
it's
pick
going down-
they pick 4 or 2 older. I mean, if the
captains
captain
will pick 4.
4. That's
4,
great.
yep.
Of course, that's how you cover for. I mean, so
Right.
you have somebody that
You'll have 12 on the team.
Somebody that's slumping or not playing very
Right.
well. I mean, they earn a spot on the team. You try to
Sure.
play him, but hey, you got to if he's not not scoring, you got to have somebody that can step in and do the
so
job
now
for him.
the points are accumulated up till the end of the Barclays tournament.
Yes.
August 28th.
August 28th.
August 28th is the last. Top 8 will be picked. After that, the next 3 out of the 4 are picked by September 11th at the end of the BMW Championship.
Okay.
Just 3. I don't know how they keep spreading it out to see who's doing well.
And when is the Ryder? Is that October?
No, it's in October,
Yeah.
first week of October.
Yeah.
So the last guy. So 3 are in September 11th at the end of the BMW Championship, and the last one of the captain's picks is on September 25th at the end of the Tour Championship. So if some guy gets hot, like a few years ago, it was Billy Herschel.
Right.
Billy
I
Herschel got
remember.
hot. He
Yeah.
wasn't even in the standings. I mean, that close in the standings. But he won the Tour Championship, propelled up,
That's
and
big.
they put him into the Ryder Cup.
That's fantastic. Good for him.
So that's how that's done, and that's what we're looking forward to. Of course, the next major is just next month. at Oakmont.
Yeah, and I sure as heck hope that they don't trump up the course. Like I said, I've caddied at Oakmont in the 1972 Open, probably 44 years ago, and in that tournament, Lanny Watkins shot 65, Johnny Miller shot 63 to win, and I heard those guys at Oakmont saying this will never ever happen again. So I mean, but they made the course when Cabrera won the Open about 10 years ago. I'm not sure what the year was. He won 5 over par. Come on, that's ridiculous. I mean, make the course fair. Don't it's absolutely crazy.
Well, I'm sure that had something to do with the greens being in such bad shape.
Well, they're in bad shape, and then they make them so fast. No, it's just like
too fast.
Yeah, they're fast, and they don't hold. And
That's
you know,
right.
so
Just like the Players Championship that we saw a week or so ago.
You got to reward.
Guys were landing the ball. They have the ball on an incline on the green, and then it's super fast. When the humidity dropped and it became dry, it just dried those greens right out. And that ball was just rolling off the green.
Don't you want to see a good golf shot?
3 and 4 putting on an average.
Good golf shot should be rewarded, not penalized. And I hate when they play with it like that.
Hey, you were mentioning something off camera about what was going on over at the British Open.
Oh yeah,
what's going on over
Greg
there?
reminded us. I didn't know if you were aware of this, but the officers of the British Open told Muirfield, which is probably one of the oldest courses in Scotland, and they think they've hosted so many British Opens, but they said we're not going to let you host another tournament unless you let women in the club. And the men got together and voted and said no, they don't want to host any more British Opens. They still want to be a male club, which had to surprise the folks at the British Open. But so you're never going to see Muirfield, which is one of your classic old-time English courses. But there's so many that, and I don't know how you feel about it. To me, is it really meaningful if you put excuse the phrase, token woman into the club and say, there, now we're co-ed. If one woman makes the big difference. I mean, I just wish that they would. Everybody in America seems to do it that way. Oh, we got to have one. We'll put one in. Okay, is that how you want to do it?
Yeah,
Here, we'll let one woman in now. Now can we do it?
Well, I think a private club ought to be able to do what a private
well,
club wants to do.
Obviously the gentleman
I'm
of
not
Muirfield.
a fan of political correctness, but I like to be fair. But if that's what they want to do.
But isn't it, like I said, and I don't want to get off on a tangent, but I'm going to. I think I told you back in my college, we had the best volleyball player at our school was a woman. And she said, I want to play for the men's team. And she made the team, obviously. But then the women's team, all the men that didn't make the men's team tried out for the women's team under the guise of, hey, we don't have a men's or women's team. We have another team that plays. And it just made a mess of things.
Did they get to play on the women's team?
Yeah, well, what happened is they actually had to ask the girl, you know what, because these guys are such jerks.
See, that's
kind of
maybe
being a
that's
jerk, wouldn't you? Yeah.
Maybe that's the answer to some of this stuff. We ought to get, guys ought to be able to play in the WNBA. I mean, why not? We have a right.
Well, you got to, the people that are that great.
Why not?
The Serena Williams of the world and the volleyball players, they have to. Unfortunately, they have to be.
I'm offended that I can't play in the WNBA.
But they have to be groundbreakers. They have to be crusaders
you gotta
for their own sport. They can't do it. So, I mean, I just feel bad that that happens. But I just find it to be totally false and two-faced to say, there, we put a woman in there. Now can everybody get off her back? One woman? One? How about 5? At least make it look like you're trying.
Well, they've done it at the Masters, and that's turned out fine.
It's
I think it's kind of nice to have the women come around and play at the club.
Oh, I think it would. I think it would be spectacular.
I don't see a problem with it.
And
like I said, but if that's what they want, and they voted, so I guess they have their reasons.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Another Open going on right now is the French Open in tennis.
How about that? Without Roger Federer, who I used to like.
Yeah.
He's like me. We're like fading into our
He's my
sunset.
favorite player, by the way. But he's recovering from some surgery and some much-needed surgery to get himself back up to snuff. been around a long time.
He's still in shape, and he can still
Absolutely.
play.
But the defending champ, Stan Wawrinka,
Wawrinka
had a very tough struggle in the first round. Almost lost.
Well, that's what's great about
in 5 sets.
That's what's great about the clay.
You know.
If you're,
it's a great equalizer.
It's an equalizer. You know
That's
that.
right.
That's exactly right.
And Andy Murray didn't have much fun either.
Did he win?
He won.
Okay, well,
But,
he was in trouble.
He was in big trouble.
He was in big trouble,
it
but
out.
he'll take it.
Number 1 seed Djokovic is playing today. He may have already played. I didn't see the result, but and then of course Murray had his trouble there. Wawrinka had his trouble. Today also Nadal. I mean, how many times in a row did he win this tournament?
Well, he's a classic.
But he had some injuries in the last few years. If Nadal is back to healthiness, look for him to
there's no
get
question.
another major here.
Oh, I agree. But
because he's definitely the best clay courter in the world.
And you know what? I know we're running out of time, but before we go, I think you being a tennis guy, I think the guy that gets very few props from anybody, maybe he does, but I don't say this Djokovic. I think this Djokovic's about as talented and as driven a tennis player as I've seen. I mean, he is really good. I mean, no matter what surface, he can play it. He can laugh. He can have fun. He can get mad. I mean, I just enjoy that.
Well, he's an all-court player, and of course that's the way the game has evolved. Anyway, it's more of an all-court game. Back in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, everybody was pushing the serve and volley. Oh, you want to be a serve and volleyer, get away from Borg and Vilas and players like that. But now it's evolved back in the last 10, 12, 15 years to an all backcourt game, all-round game. Come on in when you can, put the shots away, type of game. The passing shots are just too good.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'll tell you what, and I know we're running out of time. I'll wrap it up. And the reason we really like tennis is nobody gets kicked in the groin normally.
That's right.
You don't see it too often. I just saw it again on TV. And
if we do, they get a fine.
They get a fine. So that's it. Thanks so much for joining us. We are going to be back next Tuesday with another edition from Shots from the Bench here at Gator's Dockside in beautiful Brownwood. Thanks so much, folks. Thanks. I didn't have to buy anybody a drink. I'm thrilled.